Hey, welcome back to Growing Pains. This is where business owners come to plan maternity leave. I'm your host, Alyson Caffrey, and I am actually celebrating something momentous today. It's our 100th episode. And if you have been listening along over the last few years and you're like, this has been a wild ride, thank you so much for all the grace and excitement and everything as we kind of get this show moving. I had a podcast with my first business operations agency, and it was really focused on quick operational tips that you could implement. So some of our episodes were like 7 minutes long, and it was just a very quick and digestible hit. And then we moved those onto YouTube so that I could be a little bit more, in person feeling with our guests and our people who are coming on and collaborating. And Growing Pains, I launched it about almost 3 years ago now. It was really about being a soft place to land for women in business who are just like in the thick of it all, right? Thinking about growing their family, currently pregnant, in the heels postpartum, with little kiddos at home, navigating a couple of our guests, older kiddos who maybe are going off to college soon and they're thinking about their new identity as empty nesters. And something that I believe is true about the incredible conversations that we've had with moms is that not only were every single person on the show that we've brought on, they were just so present and helpful and were able to share not only their wisdom, but also their experience of being a mom and a business owner. And it's just been so incredibly cathartic and therapeutic. I'm sure you've heard this from me if you've been listening along to the podcast. It really has been this thing that I've created to just connect with other women who are in similar circumstances. Many of the women who've come onto the show have worked with me personally, or I have supported them in different phases of their motherhood and business journey. And it's just been this wonderful gift. And the topic I want to talk about today for our 100th episode is one that frankly has been on my heart for a long time. And I want to tell you this because I want Growing Pains to continue to be a soft place to land for moms who are growing businesses and also growing their family, is that this might be tough for some of you to hear. And I believe that over my almost a decade of coaching and working for myself and working with business owners, is that sometimes the tough conversations are required. I believe that conflict strengthens. I believe that conflict is a way to, gauge opportunity and to think about healthy ways of moving forward, especially when they're with others or with yourself. And the topic today is when grace becomes an excuse. I hear so often in motherhood and business ownership, especially for females, it's really interesting. So give yourself grace, give yourself grace, give yourself grace. And I believe that. I believe that giving yourself grace is a really important element to motherhood and business ownership. And I believe that having grace in especially certain seasons is going to be the thing that allows us to power down, allows us to be reflective, and allows us to be in a position where we can receive the gifts of some of those hustle and grind season or receive some of the insights that we couldn't when we were moving at 1,000 miles per hour, right? And that's a lot about what I've written in my book, The Sabbatical Method, is how to power that down. Because a lot of us that have businesses and families, we're very type A. Slowing down isn't necessarily in our vocabulary. And so I meet a lot of those folks. Now, what happens, I think, strategically in motherhood and business ownership is that sometimes what can happen is that we slow down or we take these, strategic pauses, and then we have a tough time with getting back into what a new season of business ownership could look like, getting into, productivity mode, but in the right directions. And grace can often become an excuse, right? Grace can become, well, I have to give myself grace because the state that I live in doesn't provide a maternity leave program for self-employed moms, right? I have to give myself grace. But grace can often become an excuse in the way that we use it to say, well, why we can't do things, right? I hear this in my maternity leave planning programs all the time where, we have something that doesn't go right or something that maybe we expected or we thought we were going to qualify for something that we don't. And it becomes the excuse around why we can't take 3 months or why we can't take 6 months of maternity leave. And I challenge you, to really think about what is showing up in your life around that? Where is grace? Where is that, oh, well, it's not happening for me, it's happening to me in your life and inside of your business, right? I think giving yourself grace with, not showing up for every single dinner because you have to work, that might be reframed as, well, I don't prioritize dinner with my family because I'm working. And so giving yourself that power back and giving yourself that lens of, this is my business, this is my family, and this is going to happen my way. I think without being in a position where, yes, we're giving ourselves some of those moments where I currently have a pile of unfolded laundry in my bedroom. That is a fact. And you know what? I can take grace on that. I know that I'm not going to let it sit there for the rest of the week, but I didn't get to it last night. I really wanted to sit with the kids and watch a movie. So those types of things, I think minimal amount of grace. I'm going to tell you this too, again, in the interest of tough love and support, is that running a business and growing a family, it's tough shit. It is. It's something that if it was easy, everybody would do it. They would all have a life and business on their own terms. They would all make a ton of money online and go and be off with their family in the summer. And what I'm here to tell you is that it is going to be tough. There are going to be seasons, especially if you're here to plan your maternity leave, when you're like, oh, wow, Allie, this is just more than I thought it could ever be. And it's because life is preparing you for a season of more. It's preparing you for this transitional moment in life and in business where we are forced to strip away the things that don't serve us and that we can step up to the plate in a bigger way for fewer and more impactful things, like being a mom, like being a thought leader, like building something that can last outside of you right after you're gone and you want to build a legacy. So grace can often become an excuse if we let it, right? Especially when it comes to building a business. Now, I want to just kind of pull back the curtain a little bit. Grace became an excuse, I think, for me and this show. And I'm going to announce some really exciting shifts that we're making. So, first, grace became an excuse for me holding space for others. So I want the podcast always and always to be valuable to the community of listeners that we have. And I found that the format of the show, now being faced with the reflective nature of a 100th episode, I found that actually what ended up happening was we were having too broad and general conversations on the show. I think all the moms that came on gave their best and were really present and excited to support and share their expertise and their experience. And some of the episodes became a bit repetitive. And so, what I do as a host and as an always eternal optimizer is I want to make sure that if folks are tuning in to episodes here, that they're getting value and that it feels like we're speaking directly to you, the pain points that you have and the challenges that you're going through. So for me, going through these last few years, it was a little easy and grace became an excuse to not really think through intentionally what the topics were that we were going to be covering, what specifically tangible takeaway wise we could deliver to our audience, and where we could show up for moms that are in those really tough seasons where it might feel like it's never going to end. And so, my promise to you guys as we move forward into this new season of Growing Pains is really to dial in on that trying to conceive, pregnancy, and postpartum time for moms. I really think it is so important, so incredibly transformational, and a really huge opportunity for your life and business if you have resources available to you to be able to take a maternity leave, to be able to restructure your business to fit the type of parent you'd like to be, and to be able to work on your terms, leave on your terms, do things the way that you really want to do them and are aligned with. So that is the first thing I'll say. So grace for me was a little bit too much in terms of those kind of general mom, business owner conversations. I'm really committed to bringing you guys a lot of incredible content in kind of that exact time frame of life. So super, super exciting stuff. Second is holding space for myself. I perhaps thought in the beginning of starting this podcast that it wasn't important to hear my voice. It wasn't important or as important to hear my voice. And so you may have noticed over the last couple of months, I've been peppering in more solos and I've been peppering in more kind of state of the union life updates and pulling back the curtain a little bit more on my life and how things are panning out as I am in the thick of kids at home home, 4 and under, and it's, running 2 businesses. So I've been holding some space between me and our listeners because I thought that perhaps there were folks with other better things to say or more effective strategies or any of those things. But I'm going to be walking through and teaching a little bit more. I have an exciting announcement here at the end of the show about what's to come on the podcast. So stay tuned for that. But I know that having a voice on the show is going to be really important. I have gotten so many messages from you guys over the last couple of years about the conversations that we've had and about the questions and things. I would like to connect with you more, which includes doing solos, which also will include answering your specific maternity leave planning questions, trying to conceive and postpartum as well, but really honing in on making sure that we are connecting and answering the specific questions that you have and giving you tactical types of takeaways that you can implement into your business and into your planning strategy. So I'm excited. You guys are going to hear so much more from me, which some of you might be like, yay. And some might be like, oh, well, Allie, I really liked the guests, which is great. So next and final is all of the new announcements. So we've got new format of the podcast, which I'm super pumped about. So we're going to be doing 2 tactical solos from me. Hey, listen, this is how it's going to work. And a little tip trick thing that I'm working on with the women that I support in master maternity leave. That is going to be so exciting. I think that I can help you guys tune in, get some tactical takeaways. It's going to be a lot like the formatting of my old show. I think it's going to help you feel like you can get some momentum in the right direction because I love, love, love to help with momentum. So 2 episodes that way. You'll still get your episodes every Wednesday. Another episode during the month will be 1 guest expert interview. So I'm going to do 1 interview per month with a guest expert that has a specialty in the trying to conceive, pregnancy, and postpartum timeframe. So if it can be woven in with business ownership, great. I think back to my conversation with Jess Reynolds, who helps with morning sickness. Like, she runs her own business and has a holistic practice. She doesn't only work with business owners, but I've referred her to so many people at this point. And everybody wants to know how they can combat morning sickness in the beginning of pregnancy. So those types of conversations, tactical, specific, what can you do? What types of testing? What types of food? All the things. So that's going to be great. And then the 4th episode that's going to come out every single month will be a specific maternity leave, trying to conceive, or postpartum story with usually somebody who's in one of our programs, somebody who's in our community. I also will be opening up the forum for questions throughout the month, which will be so, so, so exciting. So if you do have some questions for us, go ahead and shoot me an email over at connect@mastermaternityleave.com. Those all come right into our support inbox. My assistant, Mira, she is wonderful, wonderful at making sure that the questions get my attention. And so what we can do is we can compile some of those together and make sure that you get your specific questions answered. Final exciting announcement is that I'm going to do my own little podcast takeover, which is very, very exciting. I'm going to be basically delivering one of our most downloaded series in master maternity leave history, which is my maternity leave roadmap for self-employed moms. So over the next couple of months, what you guys are going to get is these bite-sized episodes with stories from me and specific tactics and takeaways on how you can start to think about and plan a self-employed maternity leave. So this is perfect for moms who are trying to conceive and run a business, currently expecting, business owners, and honestly, even if you're in the trenches of postpartum and you have a newborn at home and you're just wondering, whoa, there might be a better way to do this, these are going to be really, really helpful for you. I call them my love letters for maternity leave. So our roadmap series is delivered via email. I'm going to add audio and video series together with them. If you want the series, so you're like, Adley, I don't want to wait for all the podcasts to come out, you can go get it. It's usually $99, but I'm doing a special offer for $29. If you go to mastermaternityleave.com/roadmap, you'll be able to get on the list and get access to the members area. It is awesome. And you will have so much to dig into around how to plan your maternity leave. This series is also on demand. So you can listen at the pace that we release them here on the podcast, or you can go get the roadmap and purchase it for $29. And then you can literally just click to get the next one, or you can take a breather and wait for a couple weeks and then go get some more. So I wanted this to feel like it was a choose your own adventure a little bit, but these are definitely going to be stories, activities, tips, and frameworks that have worked for almost every single maternity leave that I've ever planned. So, my gift to you for staying and listening and engaging on the show. I'm so excited for this new season of life and business ownership. We're getting settled in Colorado and the creative juices are flowing. We've got a lot of fun and exciting things coming down the pike. So, again, thank you so much. Happy 100th episode, and I'll see you guys next time.